I'd like to, as much as we are far away, extend a warm welcome, and we are in this together. So our guest is Helena. I think she can tell us a little bit more about who she is, her affiliation with the Zayed Sustainability Prize, and the great work she's doing for sustainable development.
Yes, hi everyone. It's great to be connected, even a little bit extra greater in times like this. I'm Helena Samsio. I'm founder and CEO of Globus. We're the recent Zayed Sustainability Prize winner of 2020 in the health category. And we are a drone maps on demand company where clients around the world order drone maps from our crowdfunding platform to help prevent and respond to disasters around the world.
Awesome. Welcome, Helena. And for our audience, our topic today is drones, revolutionizing the future of health. Again, this is the first #FindAPioneer initiative, and we aim to encourage the public to nominate pioneers. So this means maybe a young person or a company, NGO, non-governmental organization that is doing great work for sustainability all over the world. Please do nominate them to apply for the Zayed Sustainability Prize 2021 edition. It is open for submissions. I assure you that it is a life-changing opportunity, as we will come to talk about. And please, thank you so much for being with us here. So we can go straight into the first question. Helena mentioned that she has a drone company. So as the recipient of the 2020 Zayed Sustainability Prize under the health category, can you tell us about Globus' core business a little bit more in depth and solutions in addition to your unique concept of crowd droning? What is crowd droning?
Yeah, absolutely. So Globus was founded around 4 years ago, and I founded it as a sole founder back then when I saw a need of, or actually I saw that there were a lot of drones out there in the world, but they weren't necessarily doing so many great things. And I realized that the drone was a tool, just kind of like the mobile phone or the computer, to actually help provide value to society. But there weren't any drone service provider that actually provided that value or connected the drone manufacturers to the end users that could actually potentially use this technology to make a difference in society. So Globus started as a drone as a service company, and actually the first service that we launched was medical deliveries by drones. And we offered that as a service to our clients. And the second service that we launched was drone maps on demand. That we also use the image data that drones capture around the world. And that is the only service that we're providing today. And we can talk a little bit more about that as we go throughout the talk show here today. But what we do today is that we have connected around 3,700 drone pilots in over 70 countries around the world that can fly missions on demand. So if there is, for example, a natural disaster that we did see now in Fiji a few weeks ago, post-tropical cyclone Harold, then we usually receive a request that's usually a humanitarian organization or a government, but we also work with private companies that need image data from where that disaster strike, so that they can update themselves on how the situation look, and they can plan for emergency relief efforts to happen in a more efficient way. So we receive a request from the United Nations in this case, who asks us to capture image data and provide a damage assessment to them post the cyclone. And then we match that request with the drone pilot that's closest to that area. And the pilot flies the mission and uploads the image data to our crowdfunding platform, and the client can then retrieve the data. So it's a way for our clients to get access to more real life or more real-time image data versus satellite data, and also more high-quality image data that then can be analyzed in more in-depth by using AI or other type of technologies to actually provide insights that are valuable. So that is what our crowdfunding platform does. It helps collect drone photos that can make a difference around the world.
Wow, that's just amazing, Helena. And by the way, for our audience that don't know, Helena is one of the top 10 superwomen in Sweden. And as you can see, she's doing such great work. And especially now when we're looking at real-time updates during the COVID-19 kind of crisis that's happening all over the world. So my question to you is, Globus involved in containing the spread of the COVID-19 virus, or in the steps of being taken to ensure emergency response preparedness for governments, healthcare centers, and humanitarian organizations? Is that currently happening with Globus?
So we received a request, but we're not currently involved. I think on our end, it's important to really understand when you can make a difference and when it's maybe better to focus on other use cases. And I think in this case, it was a bit of a balance. We received the request quite late, and it happened around the same time where that specific country had decided that it's going to be a lockdown, which made it really hard for us to even send any type of drones out through our network of drone pilots. But with that being said, we are obviously still investigating if it potentially could make sense to use our solution, and it then would primarily, if so, be used to update population data in areas where population data is unknown, and also to help identify access to health centers and potentially certain risk zones or hotspots areas. We were involved in a cholera outbreak in Malawi a few years ago, where that exact same data was needed. It was a big outbreak that the Minister of Health and UNICEF worked hard to containing. And they needed to have access to updated population data of how many actually lived in these communities that were affected in order to plan the response more efficiently. So I think whether you talk about cholera or Ebola or COVID-19, any disease outbreak, knowing the population data to be able to identify and calculate spread rate scenarios or plan vaccine campaigns or medical delivery supplies as efficient as possible. That's key. And that is something that we can help provide through updating population and geographical maps by drones instead of satellite imagery, as we know that satellite imagery sometimes can be up to 2 years old. And then recent changes among population and other key infrastructure such as healthcare centers might have changed over those past years. And that's where we can help make a difference. But we're currently not doing that in the COVID-19, but it remains to be seen if our solution will be incorporated.
Okay. I hope that it can, especially in areas where, there are weak health systems. And also when you have a densified population, as you mentioned, it's very tricky for governments to actually know about how the population is moving. And I think this will be especially important for the developing world, where you can see in places like India, even here in Kenya, we have lots of people who don't have particularly formal housing, and that's a majority of people. So I hope to see a use case for Globee drones in the near future.
Yeah, right? I hope so too. We will see, but I think it could actually provide quite an added value where for regions where these type of data sets need to be updated, and hopefully we can help provide that.
Awesome. So Globee also has a roster of international partners. So what kind of collaboration opportunities do you envision to collectively contribute to providing disaster relief during this unprecedented pandemic in terms of scale and geographical coverage?
So far we are primarily worked with international organizations, and something that we are working on as we speak now is that we have had up until today we've had regional or even per country agreements. We're now working on establishing global frameworks so that we can be involved on a global level if a natural disaster or a health disease outbreak occurs. Because what we have been seeing is that it's great that we have set up collaboration in specific countries that we worked with, but now when we have been using drone technology and we are working with some of the large international organizations that are present on a global scale, we are preparing to be ready to go when needed. And of course, if we don't have a framework or an agreement set up for a specific country, then that will delay our response, so to say. So what we're doing now is to identify key actors and global actors that we can have global arrangements with, so that our on-demand platform can really be just that. It can be an on-demand platform that is ready to help out when and where it's needed. So that's something that we envision to have in place so that we are able to act more quickly in countries on a more global level when it's needed.
That's interesting because, as much as Globee is quite a progressive organization, you have lots of dynamicism, right? Because different countries have different sort of like cases, and we're even seeing with COVID-19 how the curve is a little bit different all over the world. So how do you, again, still manage to have that global outlook, but still keep up to pace with especially with the sensitive areas that you're operating in?
So it's a very good question and a very relevant question, and I think on our end it's very much so that we rely on our clients who are also our partners. So we don't operate in areas where we don't have a trusted client or a trusted end user. So a lot of the investigation and the preparedness that's needed actually lies on our partners, so that we make sure that we are following the guidelines that are standardized within that country and that has been kind of checked marked by an international agency or a government with obviously the right standards in place, so to say. And then we are the experts of providing the data that they're asking for and be able to do that in an efficient and in a professional way. But of course, it's important for us that we do work with recognized end clients, so that we know that the proper mechanisms for us to operate are in place before we send out any of our pilots to capture data.
Okay. I think that's really important, just kind of having that local presence there to even understand communities in a sense. And so this kind of links to, because of Globus, kind of support in managing disaster relief. You've mentioned about Malawi and the cholera outbreak there. So could you just kind of say key learnings that you've seen from such a place and from your cases using drones? What kind of learnings and takeaways can you give to our audience today in a way they can imagine drones in a very different manner?
Yeah. So I think, the way that we've seen that the drone is really a tool that can help provide value, but we're also seeing it still being quite held back due to regulatory frameworks to some extent. In order for drones in general to make sense, whether you use drones as a tool to capture image data or you use drones as a tool to transport medical samples into hard to reach areas, for example, you need to have a framework in place where the drones can fly long distances, and that is still something that's kind of like holding back the drone market and the drone usage around the world, because we're seeing in a lot of countries that we're not allowed to fly our drones or any drones beyond visual line of sight, which means that the drone needs to stay within the vision of the actual physical pilot that's flying the drone. We see a few countries being quite proactive here that have focused on the benefits that the drone technology can bring and have launched national regulatory frameworks allowing drones to fly beyond visual line of sight, so that we could actually, the drones could actually transport a medical supply 50 kilometers away, or we could cover a vast area that has been affected by a flooding or an earthquake or a tropical cyclone. And we can do that in a quick and efficient manner. And that's really when obviously drones can provide huge value. So we're still kind of waiting for that to happen in more places. But I think what we have really been seeing in a relatively short time is that on the transportation side, drones can really help reduce transportation times into hard to reach areas. And on the data capturing side, drones can really help fill a much needed information gap. So I think that it's definitely is, over the past 4 years that Globus has been operating, it's been a lot of, even though, as an entrepreneur, you tend to think that things move slowly, it has still been quite a big approach forward. Going back to our technology that was barely used for any humanitarian or any social good use cases 4 years ago, and we've actually been part of helping push that possibility forward. And I think that we're now starting to see at a larger scale that this technology is really providing a lot of value, both on the data and on the delivery side, even though regulatory frameworks is still a challenge that we are facing.
Okay. I think as everyone in the audience is livening up, and we're realizing that drones actually have a part to play in areas where previously were not imagined. And I think that that's kind of what's going to be really required, especially now as the race towards the vaccine is coming on. We could see a lot more of Globus drones being used. And so this kind of links to my other question is, does Globus have any plans to enhance or scale up its capabilities once maybe this happens, or other potential disasters or disease outbreaks in the future? How are you planning, and what have you learned from how it's been managed right now?
So I think our biggest lesson learned is that Globus really wants to be a tool where we are tapping into what's already out there. So we value working with local drone pilots that already are in the country. They have a setup business where they are possibly, providing drone services such as photography for media or similar use cases. And then we can utilize our platform to tap into those drone pilots that are out there, and then have them fly missions on demand for a greater cost when we do receive those type of requests from our clients. And that enables us to help fueling the global gig economy by providing additional jobs to local drone pilots out there. But it's also smart, from both from a time and sustainability and financial aspect, because the drone pilots are already there. They don't need to be flown in from anywhere else. They're already there. They have the permissions to fly. They have the local knowledge. They have the drones insured, and they can have a quick turnaround time to actually respond to a natural disaster or disease outbreak if it's needed. So for us, is really to be able to add on to all those little hubs of drone pilots out there and connect them into a global platform where our clients can know that we can request data from anywhere in the world, and that data will be matched with, or our request will be matched with the pilot that's closest, and he or she will fly the mission and upload to our platform. With or without analysis, the client then can download the final result and receive insights that enrich their capability. So in order for us to scale, obviously we are looking to have even more drone pilots flying freelance drone missions through our platform. So even though we have around 3,700 drone pilots in about 70 countries today, there are still countries that we don't have any pilots in, and there's still countries that we maybe only have 1 or 2 pilots. And if we're really going to be able to be a global provider, obviously we want more drone pilots to sign up and be part of our very important service chain, so to say. So that is something that we're working on. And then of course we're working close with governments and other regulatory bodies to make sure that we move towards the usage of drones to be more widely adopted, but obviously for it to be done so in a very safe and coordinated way. Because at the end of the day, we're the last, as a drone business, we're the last ones who wants the drone technology to be implemented in a negative way or to be implemented in a non-responsible way, because at the end of the day that could obviously affect if we can actually use drones in our business and actually provide value with them or not. So it's a lot of work on that side of things as well as educating our clients and end users. It's still a big part of what we're doing. Many times, we enter a discussion with a new client and they had no idea that the value that drones could provide. So it's a lot of information gaps and a lot of education that's still needed in order for our end users to be aware of the benefits that drones can help them with. So it's a broad work that we're conducting, and I think that's kind of how it is when you're a pioneer within the industry. You are also part of moving or changing patterns and informing and educating, and a lot of other drone companies around the world who are now using drones in a social impact way or in a humanitarian way are obviously helping drive this change. So I'm quite confident that we will be seeing a lot of changes within the next 2 to 5 years.
Wow. I think, ladies and gentlemen, what she said is really so powerful. Especially for me, like one of the key takeaways is that I can be a part of making the future around me and taking an active stakeholder relationship to change the world. Because I was listening to Morgan Freeman earlier, and he was saying that we can all do more. Yeah. And I think that Globus facilitates a platform. And there are some questions about how people can sign up as a drone pilot, but I'd like to go through the ones I have now and then give the audience a chance to ask that. And definitely. So you can see people want to get into it, people want to make a difference, and I think that Globus is a fantastic platform. Drones as a service is definitely something that's completely futuristic. So Helena, let's talk about what has actually brought us here together today. As a previous winner, can you tell our viewers why they should apply for the Zayed Sustainability Prize or nominate other people for the prize? What are the benefits of winning?
Well, I mean, it truly is quite life-changing, I have to admit. I mean, first of all, it's a huge recognition for whether you're a company or you're one of the global high schools. I mean, there are a lot of candidates that do apply, and it's a very high qualified jury that selects the winners. So the number one is that you are being selected. It's a really great honor, because you know that you're competing against other really highly qualified candidates as well. So it's a great recognition for you as a company. That's I would say is the first thing. And then second of all, it's a really great way to expand your network. During the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week and the Zayed Sustainability Prize Awards, you meet a tremendous amount of people that are on a global level related to health or to climate or energy, and it's just a great way to be able to expand your network and be present and meet with a lot of interesting people that you might never have had access to meet before. So that's the second benefit. And then of course it's amazing to receive financing into your startup or into your project that you are conducting, so that you can actually take what you're doing today and develop it and make it even better tomorrow, and actually grow and scale and provide impact on even larger levels. So it's I would just, my warmest recommendations for anyone out there thinking about applying. Definitely go for it. It's completely life-changing if you are selected as a winner.
Yeah. So for the audience members that are coming in, I'm also a previous winner, and I can definitely attest. Helena and I met in Abu Dhabi, and it was fantastic. I think that, the Zayed Sustainability Prize is awesome. So hashtag find the pioneer. Let's make this trend. You don't know who's going to see it and whose life might be changed, and the communities as a result. So the audience has been quite lively, and so a couple of questions have been coming in, and one that is really interesting is, we understand obviously that you're often faced with boundaries and red tape related to local regulatory frameworks and laws. So how much of an impact has this had in your efforts to deploy drones for disaster relief, and what have been your key learnings to remain adaptive to such limitations? So also someone was asking, how have you been affected as Globi during this whole COVID-19 crisis? Could you let us know a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I think the question has two answers in a way. So first of all, how we are still being a bit red taped and held back. Yes, that is the case. But I think also what we have been seeing is that in the cases where we've actually started using drones, there has been temporary changes in the regulatory framework. So for example, in California 2 years ago during the wildfires, California made a temporary agreement that drones could fly and help out during the ongoing disaster, and be able to then conduct missions that they wouldn't be able to conduct in a way if it wasn't an ongoing disaster. So I think that we're seeing a bit of a change also, that perhaps normal conditions won't allow for drones to be used in a certain way, but there will be more and more changes happening under special circumstances. So obviously being disasters to a large extent. And I think that we will be seeing, and we are already seeing that to a larger extent. And I think that is obviously going to help facilitate the work that we're doing going forward. So that's something that we have been seeing, and that we're seeing in more places happening going forward. And then on the second question, how we are being affected by COVID-19, I think it's twofold there as well. I mean, the one thing that we have been seeing is that we are having issues sending our pilots out. There are, different, as we have touched upon before, some countries have complete lockdowns, or some countries have that you're not allowed to leave and travel within the country. So you might, if you are based in the capital and you have to go to a more rural area, then maybe you're not allowed to do that. That is obviously affecting us to some extent. But we're also seeing, we're a global company, and we're seeing that we are usually still able to send out pilots in countries, and also be able to obviously make sure that they are being as far away as possible from being contaminated themselves, which is, to some extent good with drones, especially if you can fly them long distances, because you can isolate yourself, and the drone can be capturing data from a populated area, but you don't have to be exposed to a populated area yourself. So there are definitely ways of working around that. But that's something how we are seeing how we are being affected. And then, of course, we are perhaps being affected in a positive way down the road, because I think that many more have realized the value of prevention. Is there anything that we could have done to prevent COVID-19? My guess is as good as yours, but I think if we talk more general on on a general level when it comes to disease outbreaks that might risk turning into epidemics or then pandemics. It's for a lot of these cases, there are visual signs, visual characteristics that could be spotted at an early stage. And if we, if the awareness level of that rises, then perhaps that would actually bring more awareness to the work that we are doing and the importance of actually trying to also use our technology as a prevention mechanism and not just as a response mechanism.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am cognizant of time. So we have like 2 last questions that I would like to pose to you. And I do agree with you. We cannot come out of this crisis in the same way that we've been dealing with situations before. We have to think about prevention and making sure that we never get to a situation where we are forced to kind of kneel down to a virus. We should be able to kind of prevent that kind of thing from happening.
Yeah.
So there's a question from Marco, and she asked, how do we sign up as a drone pilot, and what kind of certificates would an applying drone pilot need? And the last question is, on a broader industry level, Helena, how do you see the future of drones in medical supplies and disaster relief planning? So it's kind of like a top level, couple of years type of thing. So really quickly, rapid fire.
Yeah, a quick answer. To sign up as a pilot, you go to globy.com/sign-up or just globy.com and then click in the upper right corner, sign up as a drone pilot. And then you fill out the form. And we are asking you a few questions that you can upload documents after you have signed up, and you will also have to enter details on previous flight hours and so forth. So you can go there and you can find out, and you're always welcome to drop me an email at helena@globy.com or globy@globy.com to get more information on how that works. And then on a broader level, how drones can play a difference in the future for medical deliveries and disaster relief planning. I really do think that we will be witnessing this, and I would say the number one reason why it's not happening, it's still the regulatory aspect of things. Mm-hmm. The second I will mention is not just regulatory when it comes to medical deliveries, is also capability of technology and human manpower knowledge. To fly a drone that can capture photos or image data, the drones, the technology that to do that, it's much more wide. It's available. It's out there. It's been around for a longer time. It's more tested, more validated, and the human resource knowledge to operate those type of drones it's a pretty wide global scale, known how to do that. But if we talk about drones that can deliver something, they are larger, they're more complex, and that both the technology and the knowledge on how to operate them is still a bit behind. So, but with that being said, we're seeing companies that are being quite successful, and even some of the larger giants like Google and so forth are actually entering the game. So it's just a matter of time, and we're seeing isolated cases of where it's being used, but it's a matter of time, and we will see it on a global level as well.
I think, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you can also, again, go on globy.com, email Helena. We will post the, are you okay with that? If we post kind of like the email?
Yeah, definitely. Totally. Yeah. That's more than
awesome. So we will have that. Please do sign up. You can be part of kind of that driving force to get drones more widely accepted and their use cases. So thank you so much, Helena, for all of your work that you've been doing. Thank you so much for being a pioneer. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning from all over the world. I see people from Morocco. I see people from Abu Dhabi. So we are going to be having these talk shows again. There'll be one on Friday. We will be talking about food. So please make sure you tune in for that. And so just as a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, #FindThePioneer. We want to find people who are active and willing to change their communities. Just like me, I'm just like an average African boy, and I, applied for that Sustainability Prize. And it doesn't mean that you have to have this huge idea. All it means is that if it's centered around sustainability, it's centered around, making a difference for your community, take up the opportunity. If you have more time during this coronavirus, apply, tell someone about it. You never know. You might just be that person. So thank you so much. Please also send the info to @zayedsustainabilityprize.com with information about the Pioneer. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your host, Jesse Forrester, and I will see you very, very soon.